Hello and welcome to episode number 17, my season finale of Empowering Women Through Fitness. I'm your host, Bridget, Therese, and I am going to wrap up this season of the show today. Just to take a little break, and then I'm excited to tell you about my next project that is going to be launching June 13th. But before we get into all that, I want to thank all of you who have watched my show week in and week out, who have commented, sent me messages, told me that you're watching, and have said that the stories that my guests have shared have either resonated with you or inspired you. So I want to say thank you for that, especially. I appreciate it. And I'm so grateful for all of you who have watched. I'm grateful to all the guests. I've had 16 amazing guests on my show so far, and each one of them bringing something completely different to the table, completely unique story, something to offer to every area of our life. So I'm so excited for that and totally appreciate it. I'm going to hit refresh over here on my computer. My brother Israel is watching. What's up, Israel? He released a new single, so you should definitely do scroll down on my newsfeed a little bit and check that song out. So guess what, you guys? Out of all 16 guests, this is the first time I have been no-showed by a guest. So it's just me tonight. She told me earlier this week she would be here. I found her on YouTube, so maybe that wasn't the best way to find my guest, but I reached out to her multiple times, and she ghosted me, so she has vanished into cyberspace. And so it's just me tonight, so I figured we could kind of just do a summary and talk a little bit about the other guests. Hello, Wisconsin. Hi, Julia. I guess I can interact a little bit more with you guys today, which is always fun. So if you're watching, drop a comment below. Tell me where you're watching from. Tell me if you've watched any of the shows in the past, maybe what your favorite guest, who your favorite guest was, if there's anything you want to see in the future that I do. So I'm just going to summarize today. Being no-showed is kind of always humbling. So obviously I'm not Oprah Winfrey yet, so I'm not everybody's first choice to be on the show. So sometimes it happens where you get no-showed, and today's that day on my season finale. No big deal. But we're going to make the most of it. So if you're watching, or if you've watched an episode, drop a comment on maybe a previous episode that you've watched and let me know what you liked about it. If you have any comments, any suggestions, if you want to pop on and be my guest on the show right now, I mean, hey, we're all here to wing it. So in the meantime, I guess I'll just start kind of recapping, and then at the end of this show of me, myself, and I'm going to announce my next summer series project, which I'm super duper excited about, so stay tuned, and I'll tell you that at the end of this show. But I started January 24th, and really with just a mission to bring you guys inspiring stories from women in other areas that I don't necessarily have experience on. So hi, Henry, I appreciate you watching every week and for all your nice comments. So every week my goal was to bring you a story from an inspirational woman, and not necessarily women that are famous who have huge followings, but from women that are just like you and me, who have been through some things and have overcome them, or else sharing ways that they're helping other women get through those same challenges or difficult things. So we started off the show with a bang with my little bestie from Oregon. Her name is Sarah Mays, and she has an incredible story of how she went through. She was a former competitor like myself, so very mentally strong, had an athletic background, and she ended up getting sick and losing both of her legs. So we started off this show back in January, on January 24th, with a very powerful testimony, very encouraging story from her. So that was one of my favorite episodes, a great way to kick off the season. Then we talked to Christina Sloan, who is I also had a chance to get to know, and Enzo's here watching. Enzo, I can't wait for you guys to meet Enzo, so we're going to talk about that at the end of the show. Thanks for tuning in, Federico. The next guest I had was Christina Salone, who we talked about breaking the pretty girl syndrome, which is just kind of always the need to feel like you got to look like this when you go out, or you always got to be pleasing people, or living up to these high Instagram standards, for a better way to put it. So she had a really cool story about that, also from going from the top and owning a super successful business to losing it all and having to start over. Her story was super cool. So thanks to everybody who's jumping on right now. As you may be expecting to see a guest. No guest tonight. It's just me. I got no showed, but that's okay. We're making the best of it. Let's see. The next guest I had was Stephanie on Valentine's Day, which was super gracious of her to volunteer to take out some time because she was all over she was on podcasts and interviews that day. So she was a relationship expert. So she talked a lot about relationships and really having the right vibration to find a person that matches yours. So a really cool episode if you're single or even in a relationship. If you want to learn more about that, check out her episode back in February. The next guest I had on was Malia, and Malia is, excuse me, a breast cancer survivor, also a super strong female entrepreneur. She's here in Houston. She's an attorney, a mom, single mom at that, and she is just crushing it. And so she shared her experience of going through divorce, breast cancer, having a firm, and all these just extremely challenging things, and how she's turned around and started her foundation to help other women going through breast cancer. So another great story. Next I had Sonia. I had her. She is from California, and she is a very cool mom that I follow on Instagram. And her husband have an entrepreneur program called Thrive, Make Money Matter. And just talking about how to, we talked to her about being a mom, being a wife, and balancing this whole entrepreneur life. And of course, living up to people's expectations. So she was a really fun guest. She's so beautiful. So when you're scrolling my newsfeed, if you see her, you'll probably stop because she's so pretty. My guest after that was Nina Garcia, and we talked about, we talked about a lot of stuff. Nina's actually a personal friend of mine too, so we had a lot of fun chatting. We talked about eating disorders and kind of overcoming that and finding what works for you, because what works for some is not always going to work for everybody else. So we had a great conversation talking about that. The guest after Nina was Lori J, all the way from New Zealand. So that was super cool. It was like 2 o'clock on a Friday afternoon. Well, it was 7 p.m. here in Houston. So she is a fitness coach and just shared her story about overcoming depression and just some really dark times in her life right when she had her baby, and she was a single mom. So a lot of encouragement came from her, and we talked fitness, of course. So she was a really fun guest to have on. After that, one of my favorite episodes, we talked all about mompreneurs. So for the moms who are entrepreneurs, running their businesses, being a mom, we talked to her in March, and she was a really fun guest. She had such a positive energy. She shared her story with us. She was from Canada. So we talked to her all about raising her children. She almost lost her life and how she came back and really kind of found her place and found that work-life balance with work-life mom balance. There was a whole lot of fun talking to her. After Karine, we had Taryn, who was the travel girl who quit her job and traveled the world. That was a really fun episode because Christian was here for spring break, and so we got to talk. We both got to talk to her all about the world traveling she's done, and she's a female, of course, and so she travels solo. So it was really cool to hear her experiences, both good and bad, mostly good, that she's had traveling the world. So that was a really fun episode, and I was so happy to have Christian, and it inspired some ideas. So hold your horses on that one. After Taryn, I had Maggie Jean, who is a John Maxwell certified personal development life coach, and she was another person who had just such a really positive energy. So sometimes I've had people that are talking about their stories and sharing life experiences and educating us, and sometimes I just have people on because they have such a positive energy. It just leaves me fired up, and hopefully you guys as well. So Maggie was a really fun guest to have on. After her, I had Diana, and this was a little bit more of a heavy episode. Diana Stone is the founder of Still Standing magazine, an online publication that helps women or families in general who have lost children. So obviously a topic very near and dear to my heart. So we talked to her about her experience and how she is now helping other families who've experienced child loss also work through that. So very powerful story there, and also a myriad of resources. So I love seeing you guys' names pop up as you're popping on and catching a glimpse of my show. So if you've watched before, thank you. If this is your first time, I'm doing my season finale without a guest. but that's okay. Just doing a recap of all the amazing guests I had, all the powerful women and their stories. And I'm just kind of kicking around ideas for the fall when I'll come back with my Empowering Women Through Fitness show, debating on if I move it to a podcast format, if I do all my pre-recordings and just list them as videos. So kicking around some ideas. So if you guys have suggestions, if you have things that you like. I do like the live aspect of the show because it makes it a little bit more real, and it's like you get to peep in on my conversation with other women, plus ask them questions. So if you have any comments about our show format, or what you like to see, feel free to drop me a comment or inbox message and let me know what you think, because I'm always open to feedback. After Diana, we had another one of my friends. She's from Florida. Her name was Amber Rose, and we talked to her about overcoming, she was in a very abusive relationship, and talked about that and how she's overcoming, and she has an apparel brand called So Grateful. So we talked a lot about gratitude and how that plays a role in our lives. So that was pretty fun. She also is one of those women who has such a positive energy that just kind of fuels you up when you talk to her. After Michelle, I took a week off. I actually took a break, and I spent the week in Florida with one of my besties and watched her graduate with honors in her master's degree. And then we came back, and then I was in Wisconsin, and I talked to Michelle Lombardi. Lombardi. I'm totally messing up her last name, her super Italian last name. And we talked all about home workouts. So we can talk a little bit about that, because that has been my journey from going from like hardcore fitness to working out in the garage. So I have literally not had a gym membership in just about a year now. So we can talk about that a little bit later. After Michelle, last week I had Maricela, who capped it off, and we talked about, again, abusive relationships, signs of abusive relationships and how to get out of them. So that was a really informative episode. Also, she posted a lot of really good resources, so check back to look at that one. So overall, you guys, I've had a super successful run, in my opinion. I'm not here for the views or the likes. I was really here to just have a platform for women to share their stories, because I want to encourage you. There's nothing in it for me other than I get some encouragement out of it as well. So the whole goal was just to bring you story after story, or topic after topic that I believe is relevant to the women in our day and age. But I also wanted you to feel like if you've gone through any of these things, that you're not alone. So whatever it may have been, if it was an eating disorder, or you lost a child, or you struggle with image issues, like all these different topics we talked about, or even relationship. So when these girls fill out the form to be on my show, they have to check a box, and it says Empowering Women Through Fitness, and they get to specify what area of fitness that they want to speak about. And it's a huge list. So it's physical fitness, mental fitness, emotional, financial, spiritual, relationship. And they have the option to fill in another space if they have a different area of health and wellness. So really the idea is to have a completely full circle healthy view, or healthy, how do I even put it? Like just overall wellness. So that's my goal. So not to be fit just physically, because if you're fit just physically, but you have other areas of your life that are lacking or that you need support in, then who cares if you have a banging body if you're struggling in all these other areas. So hi Maricela, I'm so glad you're watching. I see Jennifer Howard just popped on. So a bunch of you guys are popping in. So thank you so much for tuning in and watching the show tonight. I'm wrapping up this season, so I'm just recapping all of the different guests that I've had on the show. So many different women with powerful stories. So I'm not going to take up too much time, because I've been here, week after week, and I'm actually really proud of myself. I've showed up week after week with the guests. Today's the first time I've not had a guest, but I'm here to just be consistent and say thank you to everybody who's watched all my episodes. So I've had a blast doing this. At first I was a little worried about committing to doing this every week, but it has turned out to be a lot of fun, and I definitely am going to come back in the fall, just kind of debating what platform and how I'm going to do that and what that's going to look like. So stay tuned if you have nominations. I've received nominations for guests to be on the show, so I appreciate that. But my goal is, again, just to share inspiring stories so that you feel encouraged and that you find some hope, whatever it is that you're going through. So my goal is just to provide inspiration, hope, education to other women just like me and just like you. So thanks, Jennifer. I appreciate that. Jennifer and I go way back, but good person, super good person. So are you guys ready to hear what I'm going to do next? I'm going to post it probably next week, but I had so much fun co-hosting Taryn's episode with Christian that I have been talking to him for the last few weeks and asking him, you know, because he's going to come here for the summer. I work from home now, so I have a lot of time. I'm like, what do you want to do? We got to find things for you to do. And I also really want to encourage him in the entrepreneurship world. I just want him to have a strong mind and just be able to see all those options. And so I said, what would you think about hosting a kids Facebook show? So he has agreed to it. So we are going to do, launching June 13th, we are going to do about a 6 to 8 episodes of Kids with Talent show. So I'm super excited. I've already started reaching out to parents with some talented kids. So if you know any parents with talented kids, if you have a talented kid, if you're a talented kid, and you want to do an interview with my son, he's 9 years old, and I'm gonna let him kind of lead the show, and I'm just gonna be there for support, technicalities of it, and also just reaching out and booking all the guests for him. But we are going to start with a super cool kid, Enzo, who's been watching my show. I know his dad from doing a photo shoot way back in the day, and he's consistently posting videos of his children playing music, and I just love to see kids doing their passion, and I also really want to encourage Christian to pursue his passion, and to really, once he sets his heart to something, to really stick with it. So right now he's super passionate about basketball and playing the piano, so we're going to put him in basketball camp and get him a piano and things like that. So I'm super supportive of kids having talents other than being on their iPads and playing on their phones, so I really want to encourage that. So my actual goal is to help other kids be inspired by other kids. So launching June 13th, we are going to do just a real short summer series and interview a bunch of kids. I'm working on that again, like I said, right now, to line up the guests, but that's what we're gonna do. So I'm kind of excited about that. And then also, like I mentioned, we'll come back in the fall and do another series of empowering women through fitness. So again, if you know anybody who would want to be a guest, or if you would like to be a guest yourself, if you have a story to share or something that's on your heart that you feel like other people would benefit from, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to get a message, and you can tell me what it is, and we can see if it's a fit. But again, I'm just here to encourage and inspire, and thank you guys so much for supporting me on my journey. I know I have a lot of things going on, and I'm posting all kinds of random stuff sometimes, so I feel like people are like, what in the heck does Bridget even do? But I do fitness, I do social media, I host a TV show, and I host my own show, and I'm a mom. So I wear quite a few different hats, and I love all of them. But again, this is just something I do for fun, to see where it's gonna go, and hopefully give you guys a chance to be inspired, be encouraged, and feel empowered. So that's my total goal in doing this. So again, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on June 13th for the premiere of Young and Empowered, and I guess we'll see you back again this fall. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. We'll see you soon.